Okay, so lately I've been thinking a lot about AI storytelling.
Yeah,
And it seems like everyone's kind of going down this rabbit hole right now.
it's pretty fascinating stuff.
And one of the things that's really kind of gotten me is how AI can create these stories that feel
Uh-huh.
really personal.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're pulling details from your own life.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that experience?
It is intriguing. Yeah, for sure.
So the Shivers and Smiles podcast that we're going to deep dive into today, the host of that show was playing around with
Okay.
ChatGPT and DeepSeek, and she was just trying to come up with some spooky story ideas.
Right.
And she used a very basic prompt. Girl finds an old diary in her attic.
Classic.
Total classic horror movie setup. Right.
Totally. Yeah. Tried and true.
Yeah, but here's where it gets weird.
Okay.
Both AI programs gave her stories with details that were eerily similar to her own life.
Oh, wow.
Like mentioning the exact street she grew up on.
No way.
And the thing is, she never told the AI anything about her childhood.
So that's where it gets really interesting, right?
It's wild.
Is it just a huge coincidence, or
It makes you wonder,
is there something more going on?
yeah, how is that even possible? I've played around with those chatbots.
Right.
Sometimes they feel a little too real, but this is next level.
It is strange how they can sound so human sometimes.
Well, can you explain how AI even generates stories like this?
Well, to understand that, we kind of have to understand how AI works in the first place.
Okay.
So programs like ChatGPT and DeepSeek, they're trained on these huge sets of data, tons of text and code.
Oh, wow.
And they analyze all those patterns and themes and language structures to create new content based on what you ask them.
So it's like they're taking little pieces of everything they've ever read,
Right.
remixing it into something new.
Exactly. But the key difference is that they don't understand it the way we do.
Yeah.
They don't have personal experiences or emotions. They're just working with patterns and probabilities.
But then how do those moments happen where the AI seems to know things it shouldn't? Like, how did it know about that street name? It's not reading our minds, is it?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
One possibility is that maybe, just maybe, the AI stumbled across a connection that we haven't seen.
Okay.
So let's say maybe the host mentioned her street name in some online forum years ago, and the AI picked it up as like a statistically relevant detail to use.
So not mind reading, but still some pretty impressive pattern recognition.
For sure.
Yeah. But the Shivers and Smiles host also talked about how sometimes the AI creates details that are just too specific.
Right.
It's like more than pattern recognition. It's like pulling from something deeper.
Okay, now that is where things get really fascinating.
Right.
Because then we have to think about things beyond just the algorithms.
Like what? Like some secret code in the data? Or are we going full paranormal here?
Well, hold on. Let's not jump to ghosts just yet. But we do need to consider if AI could be tapping into something more than just the data it's been fed.
Oh, this is good. Tell me more.
So think about this. These programs, they have access to just this unimaginable amount of information about us,
Okay.
about human behavior and experiences, even emotions.
Right.
So it's not totally crazy to think they could be picking up on these subtle patterns and connections
And we just don't see.
that we're just not aware of. Yeah.
It's like they're seeing the Matrix and we're
Right.
stuck in our little bubbles.
Exactly. And that's what makes these stories so compelling.
Yeah.
They make us kind of confront the limits of what we understand about technology and about ourselves.
Okay, my mind is officially blown.
Mine too.
But let's get back to those specific examples from the podcast.
Sure.
What were some other stories where users felt like the AI was like reflecting their lives back to them?
Yeah, so there was this one about a lost pet.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
That one's particularly interesting. Yeah, it seemed like the AI didn't just get like the events right, but it really captured the emotional part of it,
Yeah.
like the grief.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't just about the facts. It was about the feeling.
Exactly.
That's both amazing and kind of scary.
Right.
If AI can tap into our emotions like that,
Yeah.
where does it stop?
It is a big question.
Could this even be used in ways we haven't even thought of yet?
Absolutely. And that's something that, researchers are working on right now. As
Yeah.
AI keeps getting better,
Uh-huh.
we have to think about the ethics of it all.
Right.
How it could be used for good or for bad.
It's like any tool.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Fire can cook your dinner or burn your house down.
Exactly.
It depends how we use it.
Yeah.
But I think the storytelling part is what really gets me.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if AI could help us like work through trauma or explore like complicated emotions
Yeah.
or even like connect with memories of loved ones we've lost.
Right.
all through these personalized stories.
It's almost like a new kind of therapy, isn't it? Using stories to understand ourselves better.
Yeah, and it could change how we make and experience entertainment.
For sure.
Like imagine stories that are totally tailored to you, to your tastes, your needs.
Right, even your mood.
It's like those choose your own adventure books, but
Totally.
way more intense.
On a whole other level.
We're talking about AI writing stories that really resonate with us.
Yeah.
Deeply personal level. It's exciting and a little scary.
It is. It's like opening a door to this new world, and we don't know what's on the other side.
Yeah, but we shouldn't focus too much on like the potential downsides.
Right.
I still love this idea that AI could help us explore our own experiences in new ways.
Absolutely. And think about how it could help writers and filmmakers and artists.
Yeah.
They could use it as a tool
Right.
to push the boundaries of storytelling even further.
Okay, so we talked about the lost pet story.
Yeah.
What about that haunted house one?
Oh, right. Yeah.
That one still gives me chills.
It's definitely unsettling.
Like the fact that the AI gave a layout that perfectly matched a house the user had lived in years ago.
Years ago.
It makes you wonder what AI is really capable of.
It does.
Could it actually be accessing the user's memories?
Right.
Or is there something else going on that we haven't even thought of?
It really makes you think.
If it's not tapping into our memories,
Uh-huh.
then how's it doing this?
Right.
Is it possible that AI is somehow connected to something bigger than we understand, like a collective consciousness,
Interesting idea.
or like a universal knowledge base or something?
It's fascinating to think about.
Right.
Those are some really interesting ideas.
Yeah.
And it shows just how much we still don't know about AI and about consciousness itself.
Yeah.
But, let's stick with what we do know.
Okay.
For now,
Yeah.
remember, these programs, they're trained on huge amounts of data.
Right.
So maybe it pulled from architectural databases, real estate listings,
Right.
even Google Street View
Oh, yeah.
to create that haunted house.
So it's not reading minds, but it's still able to create an accurate picture
Right.
of a real place.
Yeah.
Just from information that's out there.
Precisely. And as AI gets even more advanced and can access even more data, these reconstructions, these things that it creates, are going to be even more accurate.
Wow.
It does raise some questions, though,
Like what?
about privacy.
Yeah.
And who owns our data.
That's a whole other thing to unpack.
That's a whole other conversation.
But I'm still stuck on the idea that AI could be making connections we don't even see.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's both amazing and a little scary.
It is.
It's like there's this whole conversation happening,
Yeah.
and we're not even invited.
And that's why we need transparency.
Yeah.
And accountability in how AI is developed. We have to understand how these systems work.
Right.
What data they use,
Yeah.
how they make decisions.
If we don't,
Right.
we risk creating a world where AI is shaping our lives in ways that we don't understand or consent to.
Exactly.
It's like we're creating this whole new language, but we haven't figured out the grammar yet.
That's a great way to put it.
We need to be careful that we don't lose control of the story.
Right.
But at the same time, I don't want to just focus on the negatives.
Yeah.
I still think it's amazing that AI can help us see our own experiences in these new ways.
Imagine using AI to generate stories based on your childhood, your dreams, your fears.
Yeah.
It could be this incredible tool for exploring who you are.
That's such a cool idea.
Yeah.
And maybe, just maybe, these stories could help us understand, like, the randomness of life.
The chaos of it all.
Yeah, make sense of it all.
Maybe that's the real power of AI storytelling, to help us find meaning,
Yeah.
connection in a world that can feel really overwhelming.
I'm starting to feel a lot more optimistic about all this.
Me too.
It's not just about algorithms and data.
Nope.
It's about human connection and how stories shape our understanding of ourselves and the world.
And that's something worth exploring.
Absolutely. Now, for our listeners out there, we're going to take a quick break, but when we get back, we'll wrap up our deep dive into AI storytelling and talk about what all these crazy connections between AI and real life could mean for the future. So stay tuned. So we've been looking at all these AI-generated stories, and it's pretty clear that there's a lot more going on than just some neat tech trick.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's almost like AI is tapping into something, well, fundamental about being human.
It really makes you wonder, like, what's real and what's not, It's like these AI stories, they blur the lines between fact and fiction, between what's objective and subjective.
Exactly. And it just raises so many questions. I mean, are these AI systems just really good at copying what they've learned from all that data?
Right.
Or is there something more going on, like some kind
Mhm.
of connection between AI and, well, human consciousness that we're just starting to understand?
It's a huge mystery. And honestly, the more we learn about AI, the more we realize how much we don't know about our own minds.
And that's what I find so interesting about all this. It's not just about the technology, it's about what it tells us about ourselves.
Like AI is almost like a mirror, right? It
Yeah.
reflects our creativity, our fears, our deepest desires.
Yeah.
And sometimes it shows us things we might not be ready to see.
Like what?
Like maybe the fact that we're all connected in ways we just don't get,
Ah,
or that the line between reality and imagination isn't as clear as we thought.
that's a bit scary.
Mm.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What does this all mean for the future of, well, AI storytelling?
I think we're on the edge of a creative revolution. As AI keeps getting better, it's going to be an amazing tool for anyone who tells stories.
You mean like writers, filmmakers, artists?
Exactly.
So imagine AI helping us create stories that are like perfectly made for us,
Absolutely.
tailored to our tastes, our emotions, our own personal journeys.
Yeah. We could see personalized entertainment become a huge thing. Like AI could create stories that are meant to engage us on a personal level.
But what happens when AI knows more about us than we do?
That's a good question.
Could it be used to like manipulate us
Mm.
or take advantage of us?
Those are definitely concerns that we need to think about. As we bring AI more into our lives, it's super important that we figure out ethical guidelines.
Right. To make sure it's used in a good way.
Exactly. We need to make sure it empowers people, not controls them.
It's almost like we're writing a new chapter in human history.
Yeah.
And we need to be careful about the story we're telling.
Yeah, I completely agree. But, I really am optimistic about the future of AI storytelling. I think it has the potential to make our lives better, to make our imaginations bigger, and to bring us together in new ways.
That's a great point to end on. And for all of you listening out there, I really encourage you to explore AI storytelling for yourselves. Play around with different platforms, experiment with prompts, and see what you come up with.
You might be surprised at what you discover, both about the world and about yourself.
Maybe even see your own life in a whole new way. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into AI storytelling. Until next time, keep exploring and keep wondering.